Hi there. So in this video, this is actually the 200th video. So I thought I'd make something a bit different to celebrate the fact that there's now been 200 videos uploaded on this channel, and all to do with GIS. So what I thought I'd do in this one is show you some R&D, some research and development work that we've been doing on the integration with gaming engines. And it says it's the idea that taking digital twinning to the next level, the really truly sort of interactive VR 3D level, that sort of fine granularity. So here you can see ArcGIS Pro, and I've got a very simple map here. I've put these sort of position these cones, which are traffic cones. That's all they mean, and they're on a particular area of the UK. So this is a real world location. That's really one of the key things that's happening here. This is real world data, real world location, and it's all about bringing that into a gaming engine and what's really involved and what could be the benefits of doing that. Because just because it's got nice flashing lights and looks good doesn't necessarily mean that this is something you would sort of definitely do. As with all things, you need business requirements, but this R&D work is an exploration of this technology. So here we have our, like I said, ArcGIS Pro with a simple layer of these cones in 3D. This is sort of what it looks like. Yes, you can bring in your own models, and we can have pretty cones there and signs and stuff. I've done a little bit of video of that before. You can import sort of DAE, wavefront OBJ objects, all this sort of thing, 3D models. So it's and of course in ArcGIS Pro and indeed in QGIS as well, there's a ton of 3D power. So there's all sort of 3D view shared analysis you can do, elevation, profiling, etc, etc, etc. I've already got several videos sort of on that, and that's great for the geospatial pure GIS sort of work, the geoanalysis. Now this area you can take it almost to the next level, where yes, you can have this sort of view, and indeed some GISs will sort of allow you to bring in this texturing, etc, and see the 3D view. And this is obviously Street View and Google, and you can do all of that sort of thing and go down a street, and you know the score. So, but I think what's kind of missing almost is the next real step with a proper gaming engine integration. So now we'll go to the gaming world. So here we are in a gaming engine showing the same street, the same real world sort of spatial information, geospatial information, and it's generated from OpenStreetMap and a lot of kind of manual edits and that sort of thing. So we're in it's the reality virtual, what's it called, the reality virtual reality 4, I think it's called, from Bohemia Interactive. So so this is real world interactive, so we can go down the street, but as you can see, this is the street that we've already seen in real life, and it's R&D, so it's not sort of perfect in all textures, etc, but a lot of the key elements are there, even the wheelie bins. So there's a lot of 3D models, and there's the terrain itself. You can see over there we haven't mapped out that stuff. Big shout out to Dave Pearson for terrain creation and 3D models, such as the wheelie bins. And so here you can see that you can get in the cars and drive them away and all that sort of thing. But in terms of interactivity, which is really the key thing about this, let's just go down the street a bit. It's the GIS and the geospatial elements integrated with a gaming engine, and how far you can push it. That was the sort of R&D kind of strategy here, the design. So no real business requirement as per, as a business requirement should be, nailed, what are the business benefits, etc. But this is really just to show ideas of literally just all kind of piled into one little demo. So we can, for example, show some pipes. So I can kind of raise any pipe work out of the street, and I've only this is just sample data. It's not real. Obviously, this whole thing is driven by data. The better data you have, the better access to quality data you have, such as water networks, gas, other utilities, you're going to get a much better experience. So the pipe would go down there, and there'd be some kind of junction, it would go off, there'll be service supply pipes, all this sort of thing. So if you got them, then they're gonna pop up. And so and because you're in this sort of interactive world and able to hit various gaming sort of engine capabilities, what I've actually done here is kind of simulate the idea that you're hooked into the call center data. So on this property here, it's saying there's low pressure 0.5 bars, which is definitely, I think low pressure is measured from 0.5 and below. So I think so. I immediately kind of bring that up, but it could be a direct connection to a database. And that's achievable in various ways, such that perhaps it's a REST API call. And indeed, this pipe here could be part of a utility network from Esri, and then you could execute REST API calls, requests, posts, whatever, to not just read but also update data. There's no reason why you couldn't do that. So you can, as I look at this pipe, you can see it's got identify, show nearest manhole, and update information such as material. So I can edit. But if I just do identify it first, we get a bit of text. I haven't spent any time at all on making the text look, great or anything. But you could HTML it and do what you like. Put it in a fancy dialogue. So and it gives me some basic information. Again, it could come from a database, and it's material, size there, diameter, and last inspection date. You could also actually execute really sort of more GIS-y type things rather than just querying. So what's the kind of relevant manhole for this pipe? I mean, I've chopped it off, as you can see at the end there, but for the purposes of R&D. But I could go to show nearest manhole, click that, and you see down here now there's a sort of red marker, and that's sort of pointing down there. So that's the relevant asset that I'd be interested in when doing some work on this pipe. And it could be anything really, any kind of asset, valve, hydrant, whatever. And again, I'm using water as an example here. Could be electricity, nearest transformers, whatever, telecoms, nearest point of sort of information around that. The box on the corner there, junction box. So it could, where's the nearest, things like that, absolutely part and parcel of what a gaming engine can do. And you can imagine here certainly that you could a kind of business need for this, particularly could be around the idea of training. How things really visualize how things are hooked up, how they're connected. And indeed, if there's something like low pressure, well, what are the tasks you would need to do? And you could kind of walk through them. It could be multiplayer, so you could have multiple users here, or with or using, wearing correct attire as needed. And that in itself could be a part of training. Putting together the appropriate sort of uniform and ID badge, all that sort of thing, just making sure before you even you start any work, do anything, you're there with all the appropriate stuff for knocking on doors and actually doing the work safely, so the health and safety aspect. So certainly from training, you can see this is pretty powerful stuff. I'll just turn off the pipes for a moment and just get rid of that. Yeah, all these cars they're all drivable actually. You could all just jump in and go full GTA if you like, but they're from a model library. So shout out to all the modelers who've put their work here on in the various model libraries, and I've just dropped them in to make the street look a bit more active. So if I back off, I mean, one thing about this, of course, is that you really should have some streetworks. So I've turned off the pipe just to make it a bit clearer, and I've just manually positioned some kind of streetworks furniture type stuff. The cones, as you can see, good old cones, and and the rest of it. Actually, if we go up here, you can see a sign. Yeah, so there's a pedestrian sign up here. Again, with integrating with the integration aspects of this, and able to read data from external sources, whatever the interface REST, direct database, direct SQL Server or Postgres or whatever, you could read perhaps the output from a tool that generates all these this sort of inventory list for particular streetworks work that aligns with legal requirements. So it can just read it in. Me, again, it's R&D. I've just manually placed stuff. However, there's some capability here. So if I go here and get to the site, and maybe the tool has run its job and done this, I could actually pick up the sign. See, I'm carrying it, and then I don't know, just move it down here, okay? And say, because let's just say that's a better place to put it when I've actually gone to the site, or is potentially more refined positioning. So I think that's the last one actually. Yeah, is that one? Yeah. So I can pick up objects that I've set for picking up and move them around. Again, maybe that's part of training. You can do it as a little test, position things, because then you can really, see, visualize properly what's going on with that aspect. Like I said, it's R&D. I've just placed them at will just to demonstrate the technology. This is absolutely just an exploration of the capabilities. There's no, I'm sure this is all not quite right with the what's needed. So you may notice that this Streetworks actually comes with some lighting. They're just some default lights, whereas they'll obviously show up a bit better if it was dark. And oh, there's a rainbow over there. So one of the things that can happen here is I mentioned that within gaming engines you often have this sort of admin type player who can adjust settings in the environment. So we can quite simply switch on night, and so this work can carry out at night, with different regulations, etc., different health and safety type requirements, that sort of thing. And in fact, because you're in a gaming engine, everything's pretty interactive to a degree. Again, I can switch off these lights and see what the sort of impact is of not having them, or adding more lights and that sort of thing. Here, I'll switch them back on. Again, just simple bit of R&D, but it's all about the immersive sort of part of it all. And that light up there, well, what if there's something wrong with that light? And I think that I'm just going to make that light flicker. I think that's part of it, as well as it's really good for the sort of what if scenario. What if there's sort of smoke coming out of the building, or what if the light is flashing, and what if all this sort of thing. So let's just bring back daytime. So just on that idea that I just said, what if smoke was coming out of the building, I could do something like that. All the buildings are enterable, and they're a bit of kitting out that I've done. How nicely decorated. I meant to put a flat screen TV on the wall, but I haven't done it yet. But what I've done is I've started a fire, actually by just dropping some smoke. But it could be flames, It's a gaming engine. Let's face it. So now there's smoke coming out of that house. So I've kind of done a sort of what if scenario. Let's get rid of these. Well, you could leave the streetworks there actually and see the impact of that, because we can call in emergency vehicle. There's the appliance, and again the appliance is drivable. If we wanted, all the vehicles drivable, and we can check out access, what may have to be thought about regarding access of getting this vehicle down this street, where to best position it, and you can really immerse yourself in it, really visualize, because with the right data, and it always comes down to the data, as I'm sure you're aware, with good data you can have all the houses sort of properly constructed, let's call it. Although what Dave's done here is really good. These are modelled as per design in that street. But as you know, in the UK there's 101 different building sort of designs. As you know, Gelson's 70s Edwardian Georgian. I mean, they're just all the 70s. Sort of more concrete blocks and stuff, flats. There's just so much. So it's a lot of work to create these models. But anyway, that's just a quick one on that. So actually I left the streetworks there when I called in the fire truck. Let's get rid of the fire truck and the streetworks, which is that one. And because this is a real world to scale, everything's correctly scaled in this world, with the British National Grid coordinates being used, all that sort of thing. There's no reason why you can't plot routes and navigate the road network. So you could drive a vehicle at a specific speed from a location on this map somewhere. And in fact, if I bring up the map, this is the whole area that has been created. So you could start off sort of at that junction, for example, and then just see how long it takes to get to the area using the different types of road network. And in fact, because of the sort of REST API possibilities, there's a Tesla there. Of those sort of possibilities, you could use the REST API to interrogate traffic information, for example, and indeed weather as well. If it's raining or very blustery or whatever, you can call in. You can hit those APIs and make a change in this world, depending on what the weather is like and the traffic is like, and anything else that has some real time connectivity. I think traffic cameras as well, some of those have APIs where you can grab a JPEG, so you could bring that information in as well. So like I said, this is really what this R&D here, this little demo is all about, just pushing this engine. And there's lots of others. There's not just this one. There's the Unigen, I think you pronounce it as, which is really good at things like flooding. So there are lots of others, but it does come down to the data. You got to have good data, people who understand the data and can manipulate it and process it and bring it into these kinds of engines. It doesn't matter if it's Unity or whatever. You do need that GIS sort of skill set to really understand and make the data do what is required of it, and it's those business requirements that really need to be mapped out properly, so you can then choose the appropriate engine that fits those needs, rather than just sort of diving in and selecting one. It's what meets the needs of the business requirements. And actually on this one, as part of R&D, I was trying to do some sort of general decoration type stuff. You can see in the back garden there, it's overgrown. There's an old bike and some seating there as well. Looks like there's a little gazebo as well through that gate. Have a look. So I've done a bit of sort of tidying up in in that garden to make it look a bit more sort of realistic and immersive, and that's really what's going on here. So yeah, so it's a great way to show perhaps complex ideas that are going on, complex utilities work, and just visualize simply for all relevant stakeholders. And there's the whole educational side, the whole training side, and like I said, so the sort of what if I'm in this big tree, what if that falls in whatever direction, and you can calculate the cost if you're a reinsurer, insurance, what sort of exposure is there, risk exposure is there in with regard to the makeup of buildings, metal glass damage, brickwork, stone, whatever type of buildings, all that sort of thing can be carried out. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I hope you found that useful. There's only one thing left to say, which is have an awesome Christmas and New Year. And I hope you have a great 2025. All the best.